Hello, fellow adventurers. It's David here. I was pleased with the price I paid for my used 2009 Rans Stratus 700, but there were a few things I knew needed upgrading to get me 3,800 miles across America. I'll share here about what those were. These are considered upgrades related to the actual mechanical riding of the bicycle, so I'm not sharing here about accessories like panniers, tube bags, the GPS, or camera mounts. The first thing I had done was replacing the old grip shifters, twist shifters, with toggle shifters. The SRAM shifters are in a 3x9 configuration, so those are more difficult to come by in 2024. A local bike shop was able to special order them and do the installation. This wasn't something I wanted to attempt myself. The only thing I had to do after about a week with the new shifters was tighten the rear shifter cable nut at the handlebars since it was slipping a little bit in shifts. That was months ago, and it's been great with no misshifts since. The only complaint with the shifters is that they lack a display to visually see which gear I'm in. The front chainring, that's easy because I could just look down on the recumbent, but since the cassette's behind me, I frequently find myself trying to go up one more gear and realize I'm at the one end of the cassette, or trying to go down a gear and realizing I'm at the other end. The bike did come with a rear rack, which is a bit small, but it gets the job done and fits my panniers and rack top waterproof bag. But I wanted a front rack so that the tent could rest on it in an upright position and be a little more streamlined for aerodynamics than this previous horizontal position I had it in. I bought one and installed it. It's a super cheap front rack, and I can even bend parts of it with my bare hands. But if it fails this summer, I have alternate arrangements for tent mounting, and it's not the end of the world. The seat back mesh was faded from its original black. Although I keep it in a garage, I knew that the seat would be seeing a lot of sun and rain this summer, and that would further break down the material and risking a rip. A rip in the seat mesh would mean the loss of the ability to press against my seat back to spin the pedals, and it's not a product that bike shops would keep in stock. There's a man named BJ on the Bent Rider Online forums who also has a website, recumbentseatfix.com, where he sells homemade mesh backs for the most popular recumbent models out of his home in Colorado. He spent over half an hour on the phone with me and gave me great information about my Rans Stratus 700. I ordered a seat mesh from him and installed it easily. There's a great tensioning system in his product, and I feel so much more comfortable that this part will survive the summer and beyond. The tires were in poor shape. I was recommended Schwalbe Marathon Plus tires since they're made for touring and supposedly have the best puncture resistance. Unfortunately, my wheels cannot accommodate tubeless tires, and I wasn't willing to spring for new wheels on top of the new tires. Paul helped me install the tires. They're wire rim tires as opposed to the fold flat tires, so those require some serious effort to get into the beads in the wheel grooves. I should have to fix fewer flats this summer, given those, bulletproof tires, but each flat repair that I do have will be a much more challenging job given the stiffness of these tires. Paul also squirted some tire sealant into my rear tire that can fill in small punctures when they happen. Sorry, I don't remember the name of that product, but it wasn't slime. Something similar. The front tire wasn't compatible with the sealant product since the valve stem couldn't be removed, like with my rear tube. Paul has a tool that determines chain wear, and my chain showed as beyond the acceptable levels. Paul's exact words were something like, "You fool. I can't believe you would ride with that chain. I'm ashamed to even consider you an acquaintance." It was something along those lines. So I put that upgrade next in the queue. Long wheelbase recumbents have very long chains. I actually had to purchase 3 separate KMC 9-speed chains and link them together, removing some links from the last chain to match the existing length of 252 pins I counted in my old chain. Paul cleaned the new chains in mineral spirits and alcohol, then waxed it Paul sings the praises of a waxed chain. He says they're quiet, they repel dirt, and they don't get your hands dirty when you're working with them. So we made a concoction of bike chain soup in his crock pot in his garage. The product we used was Secret Chain Blend, and it actually looks like a bag of specialty coffee from the outside, but it's filled with these small wax pellets that break down and melt in the crock pot. I rode with the newly waxed chain for the first time last week, and it was outstanding. The bike was so quiet and the shifting was smoother. When replacing the chain, Paul also inspected my rear derailleur pulleys and showed me that they had left and right play in them, and they should keep spinning when you spin them, but mine didn't. So this indicated that the bearings were shot. Also, the teeth on those pulleys had visible wear compared with some new ones that he showed me. So I was convinced and placed an order for the new pulleys. It's a cheap enough item, and it'll be nice to start the trip with fresh hardware. They have arrived and are on my workbench, but I haven't installed them yet. The final upgrade was to my smallest front chainring, affectionately nicknamed the Granny Gear. Mine had a 30-tooth Granny Gear, and I purchased a 26-tooth Granny Gear. This will make climbing steep grades easier. It'll take more pedal turns to move the same amount of distance, so I can utilize more fast pedal motions instead of cranking hard when I'm climbing hills. The Adventure Cycling Association, they chose roads in this route with steep grades, especially in the Ozarks and Appalachians, so I'll know I'll be seeing some 14% grades, and I want all the help I can get for my bike's gearing. Paul and I tried to install this ourselves, but we didn't have the special tool that you need to remove the crankset. But thankfully it was a cheap $20 service that my local bike shop less than 2 miles away could handle for me. The Ran Strata 700, it was already a solid vehicle when I started, but I'm hoping with these upgrades I'll have a better experience on the road this summer and have a reliable and dependable bike. Oddly enough, I just got off the phone with NASA, and they said that they want to use my bike as a case study for pre-trip preparation for their next space shuttle launch. I told them I'd think about it. But many thanks to Paul, Tucson Endurance Performance, and Bicycle Ranch Tucson for their parts and labor. See you next time.